Good afternoon, everyone. This is Curtis Hawks with Insurance Agency Marketing Services, and we have a very exciting topic today. We've got some good news on a very strong company, and we also have some sales concepts and ideas that you can incorporate into your practice in order to generate more production. Before we get into that, I did want to spend a couple of minutes to talk a little bit about some of the additional ways that IAMS can work to bring value to your business. Um, First up is our new producer builders. If you're a new agent to IAMS, this is one of the quickest ways that we can partner with you on your practice. As you can see there, we've got a number of different point tiers up there, but as you're producing with us, you can cash in on any of those tier levels once you hit that. So whether it's additional cash, trips, seminars, marketing programs, you can access any of those things. And if you've got questions on that, I would encourage you to reach out, talk to one of the sales directors over here at IAMS. That number is 800-255-5055. In addition to that, if you're currently doing something that's working well for you, then just chat with a sales director. One of the things you'll find with us is a core theme is customization. And so we're more than happy to work with you on that. In addition to that, we've got our referred producer program. For those of you that currently work with IAMS already, if you know somebody that you feel like might be a fit for what we do, or maybe they aren't quite happy with their current relationship, send them our way. Not only will you get a $50 bonus when they get contracted with us, but on an ongoing basis, you'll continue to get quarterly bonus checks on their production. You don't have to do anything. We'll take care of all the service, and it's money in your pocket. In addition to that, we've got our marketing dollars program. As you can see up there, for every 100,000 of qualifying index annuity premium, you get an additional $100 of marketing dollars. And for single premium life as well as life target, it's $200. So for every 100,000 of single premium life business, you get an additional $200 that you can use for marketing and prospecting. And if you want more information on that, again, reach out, talk to a sales director over here. That number is 800-255-5055. Back office support. I think many of you have seen over the last couple of years that there's really been a spotlight put on that as carriers have slowed down due to COVID, or in the current rate environment, we're certainly seeing a significant influx of business. It's a great time to be in this space, but I do think it makes it more important with what IMO you're working with and what they can provide to you, not only from the front end, case design, illustrations, apps, those types of things, but getting business pushed through the pipeline quicker. And so I would encourage you, if you haven't tried our service out, you definitely need to. In addition to that, we are a tech-based firm, so we leverage technology quite a bit in a variety of aspects of our practice. One of those is e-applications, and so we do integrate with Firelight. We also integrate with iPipeline as well for e-applications, and so you can do that right off of the IAMS website. You just have to be contracted with us in order to get access to that. And if you've got questions on how to do that or how to get access to the site, certainly feel free to reach out and talk to one of the sales directors over here. We also have our creative marketing solutions, and creative, I think, is really the key word. Our creative department does an amazing job of taking an idea or a concept that an advisor has and bringing that to reality, whether it's a website update, marketing collateral, whether it's a custom marketing campaign. In fact, one of the things that we offer is a complimentary marketing analysis. And so for those of you that maybe aren't sure what you need to do, we're coming up here on the halfway point of the year. So I know a lot of advisors are looking at the summer months and the second half of the year and trying to figure out, what do I need to do marketing wise? That marketing analysis process is completely complimentary. But what we'll do is we'll sit down, go through what your goals are, what the business looks like today, who's the target market that you want to get in front of, and then put together the most effective campaign and plan to accomplish what your objectives are. In fact, let me pull this up here real quick. I'll go ahead and launch our first poll here real quick. But when we talk about these marketing plans, I think one of the things that it does is it provides clarity for the advisor, because there's so much going on when you work in your business between the prospecting, the marketing, the clients, the carriers, all that type of stuff. This allows us to kind of put together some framework of what are the things that need to happen in order to accomplish the objectives that you want, and then also shows you here are the things that IAMS can do. And so that's why I throw that poll question up there, because there's again, our team is I would characterize them as a Swiss Army knife. There's a lot of different things that they can do, and if you haven't taken advantage of it, you definitely need to. So let me go ahead and I'll close this down here, and then we'll move on to the next slide. Which is the IAMS website. As I mentioned, we do integrate with multiple e-app platforms, but above and beyond that, if you want to run life quotes, annuity quotes, if you want to download forms, if you want to access our marketing resources, you can do that all on the IAMS website. We even have our sales resource library on there, which is literally hundreds of consumer-facing point-of-sale pieces that explain any topic you want, whether it's annuity or life insurance basics to how IRAs or 401ks work, any and all those things. And you just have to be contracted with us to get access to all of that, and you can instantly download it off of the site. So if you have interest in that, reach out, talk to a sales director over here, and they can help you with it. In addition to that, we utilize Retirement Analyzer. The biggest fear for most retirees when it comes to retirement is, are they going to outlive their income in retirement? And while we know that that is a common fear in that space, the challenge that those individuals have is, how do I know? And then if I am going to run out of money, how do I fix it? And that's what this software platform is designed around, is answering that question of, are you going to outlive your income in retirement? And then what changes do you need to make to your plan in order to make sure that doesn't happen? And one of the best things about this platform is it articulates it in a simple and straightforward way that that consumer can understand. You don't go back to them with a 30, 40, 50 page report. You can show them something that's visually stimulating, that's simple and easy to understand. And you can actually access that completely free through IAMS as a contracted agent. So if you're interested in that, certainly feel free to reach out and talk to one of the sales directors over here. In addition to that, we do have IAMS Wealth Management. This is our RIA platform that we set up a few years ago. And we've just seen significant growth in that space in general, which is one, well, we set that up initially, and then we've seen that platform continue to grow. And so even with all the volatility in the marketplace, that's the trend that we see in the market, is that shift to more comprehensive planning. And so if you've got questions about how that works and if that would be the right fit for your practice, give Duncan and Charles and the team over there a call. They can walk through how they help you and the services they provide, but it's a great opportunity to get in that space right now. In addition to that, we've got our Life and Annuity Academies, and we're excited to be able to do these again. We had a little bit of a hiatus there in COVID, but we've actually done 3 of these so far this year. We'll have another one that we're going to be doing here in the next couple of months. And so I would encourage everyone, if you're interested in growing your practice, these are events that you need to go to. Not only do we talk about best practices for growth in your business, we talk about the most cutting edge software platforms, sales concepts, ideas. We have top producers that come out and pull back the curtain on their business and talk about what works for them, what doesn't work for them, how do they incorporate a variety of things into their business. We even drill down into what are first appointment best practices, because there's a saying, you can't have a strong close without a strong open. And in a first appointment, while that person might not necessarily decide they're going to work with you, they'll definitely make the decision they're not going to work with you. And so even going and hearing about best practices from top producer, significant value in these events. So if you have interest in getting on the list to be able to attend one of these, reach out, talk to a sales director over here. Number is 800-255-5055. Also, we are just a few days away from wrapping up our Elite Producer Summit at the Greenbrier. Great event. We're very excited to be hosting these types of events again after COVID. One thing I would mention to you is, if I know we've got some of our existing producers on the call today, if you've got questions about where you rank or where you're at or what you need to do to get into that next tier, just reach out, talk to a sales director over here. And what I would tell those of you that are just getting started with us, we're constantly rolling out incentive trims like this. We understand that, yeah, it's important, the work that we do and the work that you do, but it's also important to get together and have some leisure and spend time. And so we try to put together nice events like this as agent rewards as well. So we'll be launching a new campaign here in the not too distant future. Lastly, before we get into the main event, make sure to follow and like us on LinkedIn and Facebook if you're not already. We post a significant amount of content out there on sales ideas, concepts, rate changes, even our IMS Innovates series, which is talking about challenges agents have and then specific things that we did to help accomplish or solve a problem that they had in their practice. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get this switched over here so Doug can get his presentation teed up. And just to tell you a little bit, Baltimore Life has been a good partner with us for a number of years. I've got Doug Murphy, Vice President with them on the line today, and he's going to talk a little bit about what the opportunity is in the SPL space and then why Baltimore Life is such an amazing solution for everyone out there. So with that, Doug, I'll hand it over to you.
All right, Curtis, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Fantastic. All right. Again, thank you, Curtis, personally, and I want to say thanks to everybody that's on the call to spending the time in the middle of their day to join us here. I hope that I've got some things that's going to help you grow your business. I want to say thanks to the group at IMS as well too. It's a great group. I always like to let people know that we're a relatively small company. I'm the only person that does a lot of traveling, especially on the independent channel that we have, and we get to pick and choose the IMOs and groups that we work with. And out of a very small group of those people across the country, IMS is the one that I've worked with for probably 12 years that I've been with Baltimore Life. So we really do appreciate that relationship. I do view it as a relationship, the relationship I have with Curtis, Steve Murray, obviously, the leaders at IMS, Sandy Albers, I deal with a lot as well too. And I think the world of that entire group and consider them friends as well as business associates. And if you're working with IMS, you're working with a great organization. And one of the things that always, when Curtis goes through these presentations, it amazes me at the amount of benefits and incentives and things like that, the opportunities that they give you, that it takes almost 15 minutes to go through all that. And Curtis is going through it very quickly. So you're with a marketing organization, work with a marketing organization that provide a tremendous amount of benefit. And I get the pleasure of seeing that and comparing that to other IMOs across the country. So take some solace in that, and it's a great opportunity for you. I want to again, I'm Doug Murphy. I'm Vice President of National Accounts at Baltimore Life. I do like to start by saying that we're going to talk today about asset transfer for the middle market. Keys on the middle market there, and I'll get a little bit into that. It's going to be simplified issue products that we use. But I always like to say, hey, again, we want to help you grow your business. I'm not talking about taking money from one pocket and putting it in the other. It's something that's going to help us, something that might benefit IMS, but not necessarily benefit you or your client. What I'm talking about is helping you grow your business, which in turn helps IMS grow its business and then helps Baltimore Life as well too. And we're all in this to try to do what's best for the client and provide a product that meets the solution that the clients are looking for. With that said, we're talking about asset transfer again for the middle market. And what I want to talk about is let's talk a little bit about what that client's looking for. And again, I don't know what type of audience I'm talking to here. It could be an audience that's got a wealth of experience with single premium products, some investment advisors, that kind of thing, and some other people that may be relatively new to this type of product line or something else. Typically, these products are going to be from agents who work with clients they're all going to be seniors. That's going to be one of the requirements based off of the type of products that we're selling. But that working with clients that usually typically have annuities out there, other types of funds that they're not using to live off of. So what's important to that client? They want to live comfortably in retirement. They don't necessarily want to be wealthy. They just want to live comfortably. They want to maintain good health. Happiness and welfare of their children and grandchildren are important to them. They want to leave assets to their heirs if they can. And they need guidance from an agent. They're not doing this through some other type of a broker, agent, maybe some other type of advisor, an attorney, or somebody else that they're using for guidance. They're looking for an agent that can help them guide them through this process. You got to be able to understand the client's needs, help them arrive at a solution. And the last bullet point I put there is to understand, for you to be able to understand the solution, the client to understand the solution that you're presenting to them in about 5 minutes. There's nothing magic about that 5 minutes. The idea being is it's got to be a simple solution. This is not something where you're going to be, these are going to be based off of whole life chassis products. They're not index chassis products. So you're not going to need to get into how indexing works and that kind of thing, and how their cash value can go up or down, that kind of thing. So it's really going to be able to make this try to be as simplistic as possible for the client, so it's easy for them to understand. When I think of retirement, client's retirement, and thinking you're talking, typically we're looking for somebody 60 to 80 age range, somebody in that classification. When they think, especially the older side of that, my parents are in their late 70s now, and you think of sources of funds for retirement. People break this out. I've got it represented here as kind of mason jar type of thing. But when people start planning for retirement or retirement planning process, they kind of segregate those into 3 different categories. The first jar there is kind of retirement funds. What are they going to use to live off of? How are they going to support themselves and their spouse or the rest of their family during their retirement years? Second thing is that always worries them is what I call the contingency fund or the what if fund. What if I need money for this? Or what if I need money for a new roof? Or what if I have a car repair? What if I have a medical emergency or a long-term care type of situation, something like that? And then the last bucket is what they can leave behind for their heirs, or their family, their children, their grandchildren, their church, their charity, whoever that may be. Now I realize a lot of this can be done with trust, but most middle market clients don't want to undergo that effort, and they don't want to give up control of their assets necessarily. So, when I think about those 3 buckets, that's kind of what I'm going to work with today. Most of your clients are going to do that. You think of these clients, they're not the type of client that, if the senior clients aren't the type to go out and spend a lot of money lavishly on a vacation of some sort and then put it on a credit card and then pay it off later. They're the type that if they're going to go on a vacation, it's usually they're saved for it up to a point in time, and then they can pay for that with cash or with very short-term credit card that's paid off within a month or 2. That's the kind of client that you're dealing with. They want to make sure things are taken care of. They don't want to leave situations to their heirs for something else that they've got to come in and take care of. They don't want to have to go to their family to have to pay for a new roof or a car repair or something else unless they have to. So the contingency fund is going to be a big part of that as well too. So we're going to show you how our products kind of address those issues. When I think of retirement funds, and senior thinks of retirement funds, and I classify I'm in that category now. Retirement funds include expected Social Security benefit, what they're either receiving now or expect to receive when they do retire. Pension plans, defined benefit pension plans is what I'm referring to there. Distributions from 401ks, IRAs, other type of qualified plans that may be out there. And according to a 2017 American College study, American College does a lot of work for the insurance industry, and that's actually who provides the educational requirements for your CLU designation, your CHFC, so on and so forth. According to them, 2017 study, people between the ages of 65 and 70, 75% of that group had a defined benefit pension plan. So go back up to that middle dot point there, pension plans. People between the ages of 65 and 70, 75% of those people had a defined benefit pension plan. I have a defined benefit pension plan. I worked for a company that for almost 18 years had a defined benefit pension plan. In the mid to late 90s, they did away with the defined benefit pension plan and started offering a 401k plan. If you're not familiar with pensions, again, I'm not sure the audience that I'm working with here. Just a quick defined benefit pension was where it was the company's responsibility to save money, put it aside, and they provided a guaranteed benefit for you based off your years of service and your age at retirement. So that was something that put a lot of onerous to provide that guarantee. They had to fund that appropriately to say if you're going to retire at 65 and you've had 30 years of service, here's the benefit, and guarantee that benefit. It was very onerous on these companies. That's the reason a lot of these companies moved away from that and went to a 401k. In fact, very few companies now still have a defined benefit pension plan, but a lot of your seniors that you're doing business with out there still have that defined benefit pension plan. That's going to become important in a second. So when we talk about baby boomers, retiring baby boomers, these are people that haven't retired yet but are getting ready to retire. These retiring baby boomers have a median savings of $147,000 in all household retirement accounts. Now that doesn't sound like a lot, but that's actually up from $99,000 in 2012. So, I mean, that still doesn't sound like 147,000. You may ask, well, why are we talking about asset transfer when all somebody's got is $147,000 of savings and all their retirement accounts that they've got saved? That same 22% of baby boom workers, people who haven't retired yet but are still working, have less than $55,000 saved. So 22% of that group have less than $55,000 saved. However, only about half, a little over half of that group are very concerned about outliving their savings in retirement. You may say, well, how could that be? How could you have less than $55,000 saved? You're in the baby boom, you're on the verge of retirement. You've not retired yet, but you're thinking about retirement, or of an age that most people would retire, and you're not very concerned about outliving your savings and investments. And I go back to that previous screen where we talked about the defined benefit pensions. I'll use my family, my parents as an example of that. My dad had a defined benefit pension plan. It's similar to what I had. His company did away with that and just basically stopped it and then started offering a 401k. When he retired, he lived off, he and my mom are living off of his defined benefit pension plan and their Social Security benefits. The 401k that he had, he just rolled it over to an IRA, and that money's kind of sitting out there as again, goes to that second bucket, that contingency funds that we talked about. So you think about people that may not have a lot saved, but they've got a lot of money that they can't really classify in a defined benefit pension program that they're living off of. You'll find a lot of people out there with money saved that's exactly what they're doing. They're living off Social Security, they're living off the defined benefit pension that they had at the time, and money that they may have in a 401k that they've rolled over to an IRA or something, or still have it in 401k. They've got that money there, and they're saying, okay, if I die, then it'll pass to my heirs. I've kind of got it there in case I've got some medical emergencies or something else. It kind of answers that what if. That's how they're answering that what if question. Contingency funds. These are assets your client don't expect to use during retirement. That's going to be a big key. I think that's one of the main questions is, does your client have funds that they've got set aside that they're not planning to use to retire off of? If they're planning to use these funds to retire off of, they're probably not best suited to be put into our products since they are life insurance focused. Funds set aside for unexpected financial crisis or medical needs. Underperforming retirement funds, or maybe the concern about outliving their retirement funds. Now, I realize that life insurance can be an opportunity for your clients to increase the value of this fund, but primarily most of these funds, are going back to my previous comments, where these are things that they've already set aside. They've got set aside in CD money or 401k money or IRA money or something else that they've got set aside kind of for those contingencies. And then we talk about the third bucket, which is the legacy funds. And we're going to talk today about two products that meet this need that I think is going to add a lot of value to the offerings that you're already offering. It's single premium products. We have two products that meet that. One is a single premium whole life. And I'll talk briefly about that. I'm going to spend more time on the generation legacy because it relates more to those qualified funds. The single premium whole life is simply a product where you're going to take cash money that's already been taxed, single premium that into a life insurance policy, make one premium payment, and you're going to have a fully paid up policy for the rest of your client's life with that one single premium payment. Generation legacy does basically the same thing, and I'll explain the difference. The biggest difference between these two products, and you say, how would I know which one to choose? It's really the first green arrow there is the ideal single premium source. If it's after tax cash vehicles such as CDs, money markets, 1035 exchanges of old policies, that money's probably best going into a single premium whole life. If it's qualified funds or non-qualified annuities, money that's never been taxed, then it's probably best to go into a generation legacy. I'm going to go through this quickly. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on product. I always believe that I could bore you to death with product, but if you're interested in the product, you think it'll help what you're doing already, you can go out to the IMS people there, the sales directors, and they'll be glad to send you out our agent guide, any other information that you may need as it relates to Baltimore Life and these two products. But I'm briefly going to get into some of the main categories here and kind of explain the differences I can. And every time you see a difference, there's always a reason for it. I'll try to explain the main differences as I go along, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time on product. At the end, we're going to talk about sales ideas and where to find these types of clients. The issue age on single premium whole life is 50 to 85. You know, we really want to make it a senior product, but we'll make the age low enough to where we can capture some of those people that have cash assets in their 50s that they want to set aside. The generation legacy starts at age 60. The reason it starts at age 60 is we really think that we're asking clients to give up qualified funds or money that has never been taxed, money that typically has been used for retirement in the past, and say, do you need those funds to live off of? We don't think somebody below the age of 60 can truly answer that question affirmatively. So we had to put an age out there, so we put it at age 60. The reason we cap it at age 80 is that in order for this to be a qualified life product, it has to be a premium payment period that meets their mortality table there. So as you see the way the product's structured in a second, you'll see that's the reason we put age 80 there on the upside of that. Underwriting classes, single premium whole life does offer 2 levels. Level 1 is standard to table 4, level 2 standard to table 5 through 8. But the generation legacy only has standard to table 4. Now, what the difference there is, let's say let's say you've got a client that's got $50,000 of cash in a CD. They want to move it to life insurance, and they're going to use it to live off of. They're in relatively good health. They qualify for a standard rate with Baltimore Life. That $50,000 may buy $80,000 of death benefit, single premium based off of their age. Whereas if they've got some health issues, maybe some comorbidities, but they still qualify for level 2, they're still within that table 8 category. That same $50,000 of premium may only buy $75,000 or $74,000 of death benefit. So it's the same premium, obviously, it's just a little less death benefit that's purchased. Point of sale underwriting, both of these products offer point of sale underwriting. You're going to take the application with the client. You're going to call in our underwriting call center. They're going to basically verify what's on the application. In the background, they're going to order an MIB report. They're going to order a RX check, a LexisNexis, which validates who the person's a real person. And then they're going to give you an affirmative answer over the phone. Right now, what I put on the screen here is what compliance lets me put on there is over 90% point of sale decision. I think right now it's about a little over 92% point of sale decision. So that means before you leave the house, you're going to know whether that client qualifies or not. So in the past, if you sold, we're addressing this to the annuity producer out there, and I spent 16 years on the agent side, and so I know that that's important to you. You don't want to. The last thing you want to do is to be in a client's house, have a client that's got an interest in buying, and then write a life application, and then bring it into the home office or bring it in, send it to the home office, and then have it not approved, or take a long time to get it not approved, and then the clients change their mind. So over 92% approval rate right now, point of sale decision when you're calling in. That call takes about 8 to 9 minutes. You can do that right there while you're in the client's home. When you get through with that phone call, they're going to provide you with a number. You're going to write that on the application, at the top of the application, and send it in. Once that's received in, we do no further underwriting, life underwriting on that case. It speeds up the process for us to go out and get the funds from another company or wherever we're getting the funds from. It speeds that process up by about 2 weeks typically. Minimum premium on both is $5,000. They both offer partial withdrawals. They both offer loans. They both offer accelerated death benefit. And I classify those 3 categories there together as kind of what helps meet that contingency fund that we talked about earlier. They both offer ability to withdraw partial funds from the policies. They're different there, and I don't have enough time to get into that, but the agent guide, if you're interested in that, can explain the differences there. They both do have loans available. It says there a maximum loan rate of 8%. I think it's about 6 right now, but we are required to publish the maximum rate. And then accelerated death benefit riders. This is not long-term care. The qualification's the same. If you can't do 2 of 6 ADLs, and a doctor will say that you're terminally ill, then you can get up to 95% of the death benefit. If you can't do 2 of 6 ADLs and you need to go into a nursing home, you can get up to 90% of the face amount of the face amount, not what you paid in premium. So the face amount of the policy. So it's a lot different than what it's going to give them a lot more cash in that event. If you can't do 206 ADLs and you need extended care, home health care, adult daycare, it's going to be 80% of the face amount. Now in the generation legacy, it's a little different, and I can get in if I've got time later on. If you can remind me, Curtis, I'll go back into why there's a difference in the generation legacy, the way we pay the accelerated death benefit. But if you get a terminal illness, it's 75% of the face amount. Nursing home, home health care, adult daycare, extended care is all 50%. The maximum face amount on a single premium whole life at level 1, ages 50 to 80, is $250,000, and we use net amount at risk here as the difference between the premium paid and the death benefit. So the illustration won't allow you to go over that. So let's say you put in $100,000 of premium. Based off that client's age, we wouldn't be able to offer more than $350,000 of death benefit. If you put in 50, the maximum would be $300,000. So you get the idea there. Level 2 is a little less, but you get the idea of how to classify the net amount at risk. We also have a contingency out there. If you're going to give something over $500,000 in premium, and we have those, we just had one earlier this week, yesterday, as a matter of fact, that we just want you running it by us, run it through IMS, and then they can bring it to us. We just want to make sure that we've got, we know that's coming in, we got a place to invest the money, that kind of thing. But we can't really violate the net amount at risk category there. So if you've got an older age client, let's say a client that's 84, 85, wants to put a large sum of money into it, as long as we're not violating the net amount or the net amount at risk there in our reinsurance treaty, we should be able to take those funds. The generation legacy, on the other hand, because of the nature of the policy, the maximum we'll be able to take is $450,000 on the life policy. Now, I'll come back to that in a second before I leave this screen, but I wanted the death benefit on the single premium whole life obviously is the face amount of the policy. So if you had $100,000 and it bought $150,000 of death benefit, that's the death benefit. Cash value will continue to go up. Death benefit won't go down. With the death benefit with the generation legacy, the structure of the generation legacy, when you take the application on that, you're going to take an application for an annuitant and an application for the life applicant. So what you'll deliver to that client will actually be 2 policies. You'll deliver a SPIA, single premium immediate annuity, and you'll also deliver either a 7-pay life policy, whole life policy, or a 10-pay whole life policy, fully paid up at the end of 7 years if they're between the ages of 75 and 80, and if they're between 60 and 74, it's going to be a 10-pay policy. So the death benefit, as you see there, the death benefit would be the face amount of the whole life policy, plus if they die within that annuity payout period, that SPIA payout period of 7 or 10 years, the beneficiary will get either what's remaining in that SPIA. They'll get the remaining payments every year, just like was going into the life policy, or they can commute that lump sum and receive that. Now, I want to give you an illustration of how that works. I wanted to take a client that I think is fairly representative of our business and probably of yours. I didn't want to make it pie in the sky. I didn't want to make it too high or too low. This is a female, age 70. She's non-tobacco. She has a $50,000 annuity. Cost basis on it is 40, which those of you that don't work in that space very often, the cost basis, at one time she paid $40,000 in cash, and that annuity is now grown to $50,000. So you come to her and you say, hey, Mrs. Jones, your annuity, what's the purpose of the funds? And she says, well, I'm not going to use it to live off of. I just want to leave it. I just want to have it there just in case I need it. That's the contingency side of it. If I die, if I haven't used it before I die for medical purposes or whatever, I'm just going to leave it to my kids or my grandkids. Okay, that's a typical client. And what we can do is say, okay, let's at least try to address that issue with something other than an annuity, because an annuity is going to essentially continue to increase that cost basis and not maximize what she could pass on, and also effectively address her contingency needs. So what we would present is say, okay, let's look at 1035 exchanging that. If you work in this annuity market, you know that you can't 1035 exchange annuities into life insurance. You can 1035 exchange life insurance into annuities, but you can't do an annuity to a life. So one of the reasons that we structured the product the way we did is that we're going we're going to 1035 exchange her $50,000 non-qualified annuity into our single premium SPIA. So it's annuity to annuity exchange. There's no tax paid on that. It's a complete 1035 exchange. Let's get it out of her current deferred annuity into our SPIA. So you see there in year one, age 71, she's got $50,000 going in. Right above that, you see the exclusion ratio. Our illustration software will help you based off of that $40,000 into the total of 50 plus the interest that she'll earn in our SPIA. The exclusion ratio is 71.8%. That's what's excluded from tax in every payment that she makes in every year. So we're going to take that $50,000 annuity in year one. We're going to take $5,570. That's a tenth of the interest. That's a tenth of the principal and the interest that's earned off that. So $5,570. We're going to pay. We're going to take that SPIA payout and we're going to pay directly over into their annual premium for their whole life policy. So you see over to the right-hand side, you see it's a life insurance whole life death benefit of $78,451. So that $5,570 is going to make the first annual payment on that whole life policy. Out of that $5,570, based off the exclusion ratio here, we're going to exclude right at $4,000, $3,999.26 every year. It's a little higher in year 10 just to get things equal, but it's just barely above that. So right at $4,000 every year. Her estimated taxable income and what she would receive a 1099 on every year for 10 years would be $1,570.74. Goes down a little bit in year 10, but right around that $1,570 amount. So she'd get a 1099 every year for $1,570. The SPIA benefit payable at death, if that client died in the first year, the beneficiary would receive $78,451 tax-free, and then they could either take the commuted lump sum there of $41,250, or they could continue to receive that $5,570 every year until the annuity paid out. Now, obviously, they would pay tax on that, but the whole life death benefit itself would be tax-free. Now, what did we do? Why did we structure it like this? Well, you could have took that lady's $50,000 up there. She had to pay tax on $10,000, the amount she's not paid tax on. She would have added that to her other income. Based off her other income, we know that she would probably pay some income tax on that $10,000. So it's raised her other income, maybe it's impacted her Social Security taxation and Social Security benefits and that kind of thing. What we're trying to do is to minimize the amount of tax that she's paying to move the funds from some type of qualified fund, non-qualified annuity into life insurance and do it tax efficiently. So if she took that money up there and just cashed it in and bought life insurance, she would end up with less than 50, let's say 45,000. 45,000 is not going to buy 78,000. Probably going to buy closer to 70,000 of death benefit. So she didn't maximize the death benefit. She didn't get to try to minimize the tax that she paid on it. So she's done a number of things. Plus, this provides the opportunity for the beneficiary to receive that annuity, what's left in the annuity, as an additional death benefit through the remainder of that SPIA payout. I like this slide because if you could take that same client, female 70 non-tobacco, instead of it being a non-qualified, let's say this is an IRA. Let's say this is a $50,000 IRA. So it's 50. We're going to do the same type of classification. We're going to take our $50,000 1035 exchange down into our SPIA, which you see there in year one. Annuity to annuity exchange. There's no taxation on that. The exclusion ratio, obviously, since it's an IRA, would be zero. There would be no exclusion ratio. So she'd have the same $50,000. The SPIA payout would be exactly the same. The excluded amount there would be zero in the event that it was an IRA. There's no exclusion. Her estimated taxable income would be $5,570. The SPIA benefit would stay the same, and the whole life death benefit would stay the same. But I would ask you, would you rather, if the client's wanting to pass on as much benefit as they can to their heirs and minimize their tax, what would be the least impactful to their tax and allow them to pass on the most? Would it be taking the $50,000 up front and paying all the tax on that and then using what was left to buy life insurance, or would it be best to use the full amount and split that tax liability out over a 10-year period? So we would take that here and divide it over a 10-year period, and everything there would stay the same except for the excluded amount and the estimated taxable income. So you could, it's not going to be exact, but you could say, what about 100,000 or what 200,000? So just you could multiply that 50,000 by double if you wanted to be 100, or 200 4 times if you wanted it to be 200. It's going to be pretty similar, but the concept's going to work exactly the same. Obviously, I can't put a bunch of different exclusion ratios on here, but you can kind of do that for yourself. But hopefully that kind of illustrates what the value of the generation legacy actually is. So if you got questions, you can go out there and type them on the side. I think that's probably the best thing to do. And then at the end, Curtis, we can kind of address those questions if they're out there. One of the things that we come up with right around the time that COVID started was another idea to say, what can we do? How many of you have clients that you went to that may have an annuity that they're really not using it to live off of, but they're really in bad health? They don't have the ability to qualify for life insurance. So it's really been a non-issue when you talk to them. And what we developed was what we call the spouse option on the generation legacy. The spouse option offers you the ability to take, if I'm 75, let's say, and I've got $100,000 of benefit. Let's use that same illustration we just used a while ago. Let's say that I'm a 70-year-old female and I'm in good health, but I'm in bad health, but I've got $100,000 in non-qualified annuity or qualified funds or an IRA or whatever it may be. But I want to pass those funds on to my heirs. Now I can leave it in an annuity. When I die, it's going to pass on the way I want it to and be taxable at the rates that it would be taxable at. Or I could take our generation legacy and say, okay, I'm going to be the annuitant because I don't have to qualify medically for a SPIA payout. So the SPIA is going to be in my name, and the life application would be in my spouse's name. It has to be right now. We have to have it as a spouse because we typically look at this. We filed it from where they're typically be filing income taxes together. We would assume that. So if it's a husband-wife situation, one of the spouses are uninsurable but has funds have funds that they want to pass on. Think about this as an option. If you clients that you may have out there now that you really not been able to do anything with, or clients that you're going to talk to in the near future, as you come across that, think of how this might benefit their situation. So one spouse is uninsurable, has funds to pass on, just don't have the insurability to do it. The other spouse is in relatively good health and can qualify for our generation legacy product. We can use the SPIA on the uninsurable spouse to pay the premium on the insurable spouse. So we think that's a great option. It gives you a lot more options out there of clients that you may run across that you just really had nothing to do, no opportunity to do anything with in the past. Again, I want to point out the 90% point of sale decision rate. We're trying to make this as convenient for you. The last thing, as I said, having been an agent, all these things are trying to address your concerns as an agent. If I always hear from an annuity producer that, the last thing you want to do is to go in a client's house and have to wait on underwriting or deal with the underwriting of a life insurance policy. And I understand that. So that's the reason we want to provide that point of sale decision. Right now, we're doing that at over 90% of the time while you're in the client's house. If for some reason that client doesn't qualify, we're going to be able to tell you that while you're in a house, and you can continue to sell them maybe another company that has a similar product or a different opportunity on the life side, or go back to that annuity opportunity that they may have. And again, it would tell you here too, if they don't qualify, maybe it's an opportunity to involve the spouse and do the spouse option on the generation legacy if it was a generation legacy type of sale. Now, where do you find these types of clients? I'm going to give you some ideas here that's worked. You may be able to come up with your own. I'm always interested. Most of these ideas came from other agents that we've talked to. We're looking, there's got to be annuities that are not needed for daily living. So if a client has funds out there with a single premium, just any type of funds or annuities, if you're on the generation legacy concept, it's really funds that are not needed for daily living expenses. So they're not going to need these funds. You're not going to put all this money into a life insurance product and turn around and typically need all those funds back within a short period of time. Most of these clients that we get that take the options for loans or partial withdrawals or things, they say, hey, I put in $100,000. I didn't realize that I need $5,000 out my my kid got in some trouble and I've got to use $5,000 for that. That's the reason that, a lot of these companies that we compete with have a guaranteed return of premium. But everybody works with the same dollar. It has a guaranteed return of premium. Most of the carriers that we compete with have a less death benefit. They have, and the reason they're doing that, they're using the money that they're getting the guaranteed, they're using that extra funds to provide the benefit of guaranteed to get your funds back if you need them, but they're reducing the death benefit. We're trying to maximize the death benefit. We want to make sure those funds aren't needed for daily living expenses. Always, an idea came up those years ago was always get in the habit of asking your client an open-ended question, not a yes or no type question. If I'm talking to a client, I'm in a house and I'm talking to them about a Medicare product of some sort, and you're just trying to get the idea behind, I might say, Curtis, do you have any leave behind money? And you hear in my conversation now and the way this is going, pretty familiar with what I'd be talking about, but a client is going to say probably, well, what do you mean leave behind money? And that's an opportunity to say, well, if you have any funds at all set aside, any money saved, it's either live on money you're going to live on the rest, you used to live on the rest of your life, or leave behind money that you've got intended that you don't expect to live off of, but you just want to leave behind. So it's a conversation starter to get clients to think about that. It's a good way to bring up the single premium conversation into your sales process. Always look at 1035 exchanges of older paid up policies. This is one, if you're dealing with seniors, it's not like perhaps typical client today. A lot of these seniors, my grandfather was an example of that. He died before I went to work with Baltimore Life, but because I was in the insurance business, I was asked to look at all of his policies. And he was like most seniors, he had it in a shoebox. He had probably, I think there was 17 policies that he had out there from the time he was born, his parents bought, to the time he died, he bought on himself. All of them were probably 10 or 20 pay life policies, bought back in the 40s, 50s, maybe early 60s. The death benefit on it was about $20,000. The cash value on it was right around $14,000. Now you're saying, okay, well but what you would be looking at is under the current mortality and the way the mortality tables have changed since that period of time, I could have taken that $14,000 perhaps and paid up in cash value and bought more than $20,000 of death benefits. So you're taking paid up policies and put it into paid up policies and accomplishing providing them with a higher death benefit by doing that. In some cases, at least it's useful to look at that. It gives you an opportunity to look at what else the client has and what they don't have, provide a better service to that client. Universal Life Rescue. I started in the insurance business August 27th, 1984. In that period of time, we were selling a ton of Universal Life. It was when Universal Life first came out in that time period. One of the things that made it so popular was the interest rates were anywhere between 12 and 14. I think Kentucky Central at the time, the company was offering 15%. You were selling these products a lot for just the cash value buildup on it, as more so than the death benefit. That's the reason the tax laws changed in the late 80s. But you're going to find a lot of these clients were in their 40s probably when these products were bought, maybe late 30s when they bought these products, and they kept them. What they're seeing now, and if you don't sell Universal Life, you've never seen it. If you ask a client if they've got a Universal Life, they're probably going to know it because they get an annual statement every year from their insurance company that on one side's a letter thanking them for their business and a lot of other jargon. On the back side is typically their annual statement that starts out on the left-hand side showing a month by month breakdown of their premium payments and then their cost of insurance deductions, their interest payment credited, and then over to the right-hand side shows you what's left in their account value. The easiest thing to do is look and see what their account value started at the end of the previous year, and then what it ended up at the end of the year to see how much, if any, of that's going down. If it is going down, that means that they're not paying enough premium, that eventually that product could be in some jeopardy of going away. In some cases, it's dropping by several $1,000s, and could mean that the client's going to lose that Universal Life product at some point in time in the near future. With that, what you could do is what I would call a Universal Life Rescue, 1035 exchange what's left in the cash value out of that Universal Life into our single premium whole life, 1035 exchange life to life. And you're not going to buy probably the same death benefit that you had on the Universal Life, but at least this product, the death benefit's going to stay the same, not going to go down. The cash value that they put into it, the premium they put into it, It's going to start building a cash value back up. They're not going to see that number going down or that amount going down. But as importantly, what you're going to see as well too is you're going to see that they may be paying $100, $200, $300 or more in premium every year on that universal life, and have been paying that for years. That's money that can be freed up for you to use to provide something else that client may want, or additional life insurance products that you may have to offer. So what you're doing there is giving them a peace of mind that their cash value is not going to continue to go down. They're eventually going to lose their life insurance, and they're paying a fairly significant premium for it now. You're going to be able to put that into a single premium level death benefit product, rescue the cash value and allow it to start to go back up, and then free them from the premium payment that they may be making. Burial account, you usually don't think of burial accounts in this, but I'll give you an example of my parents. When I went to work at Baltimore Life and we developed this product, I found out my mom and dad had a $10,000 CD apiece for the sole purpose for my brother and I to use for their burial expenses. They felt like that was significant enough to cover that back in 12 years ago. So what I was able to do was to take about $6,000 in my mom's CD and buy a $10,000 single premium whole life product. I took about $7,000 of my dad's and bought a $10,000 single premium whole life product. They both had the same tax-free death benefit, $10,000 a piece, but it freed up about $7,000 between the two of them and accomplished the same thing. So don't overlook that if you're in that market or run across a situation like that. As I said, a lot of these seniors can give this thought beforehand. What am I going to do to make sure that my family don't have to pay for my final expenses? How am I going to pay for that? And have money set aside for those exact types of things. Maybe you've got a client that's on the fence between, some of you may offer long-term care policies. And again, I don't want to misconstrue, this is not a long-term care rider, it's nothing else, it's an acceleration of the death benefit. But let's say you got a client that you talk to about long-term care, they know the need, they want to pass on benefits to their heirs. Long-term care is an expensive product, we all know that. So what that client a lot of times will do is end up sitting there on the fence that they either in too bad of health to purchase either one, or they don't do anything. They don't purchase a life product and they don't purchase a long-term care product to address those needs. The accelerated death benefit rider comes in to say, hey, if you do have some type of medical need or long-term care need, that we can accelerate the death benefit. If you don't need it, we're going to pay the death benefit, and you are going to be able to pass on those benefits to your heirs. But if you do need it, we can accelerate some of the death benefit and provide you benefits to pay for those types of needs that you may incur. Now, this is not, again, not long-term care. We're not going to pay the provider of the long-term care or anything else. This is a benefit that would be paid directly to the policyholder at the time that they accelerate and qualify and accelerate that death benefit. So it gives you an opportunity to address those needs. The client brings those up. And another category that we don't use a lot, but can be, is to reduce 1099 income exposure to income tax on Social Security. So it's not a category that we use often, or agents would tell us that they're using it in, but it is something that you can. And again, it's very small amount of the business we get in, but you can use it in business situations to potentially reduce tax liabilities on corporate retained earnings, to finance an employer's obligation under a non-qualified deferred comp plan, or even a vehicle for after-tax employee contributions. So those are some things out there that you can think of on how to utilize these products. They both are simplified issue. We're not going to get APSs and parameds or things like that in issuing these policies. One of the last things, as Curtis talked about, all of the IMS incentives and places to go and the great trips. Your production qualifies if you write $750,000. If it's all you write is single premium products, $750,000 of either one of these two single premium products would qualify you on a year-to-year basis. It's an annual qualification basis to go to our leaders conference. It's this coming next year in March. Is going to be at the Lowe's Ventana Canyon Resort in Tucson. Most of the time we go out of the country, but when we put this together, I had to put it together back probably 2019, late 2019. We were in the midst of COVID, so it was one of those where we ended up saying we got to go domestically, so people may not be able to travel much, and if they are, they may not be able to travel out of the country. But we think this is a great location, one of the best locations in the country. It's going to be from Sunday, March 26th through Thursday, March 30th. But again, $750,000 in total single premium would qualify you for that. And then we think we're a really easy company to do business with. I'm a hard person to get in touch with. Obviously, I would direct you, if you've got questions about our products, to go to your sales directors there at IMES. Are great at being able to help you and assist you. If it's a question about pending or a question about something else that you may want, we do have a service center. It's directly set up for agents. We have a client service center, but we do have an agent service center as well. And that number is 877-533-2468. So if you can reach out to them, if it's after hours or something that you can't reach the IMES staff, my first suggestion though would be to reach out to the IMES staff, and I'm sure they'd be able to help you. But if not, that number is available to you as well. Curtis, that's all I have. So I'm going to go back on mute. If there's some questions, I'll come back on there. That way we're not getting voiceover or something. But I hope that I really appreciate your guys' time and spending with me. And I hope these are products that you can add to your current portfolio of products, and they can help grow your business. Thank you.
Thanks, Doug. I appreciate you going through all of that, and I'll launch our final poll of the day. But I hope that all of you that have been on the call today see the same thing we do, which is there's significant opportunity in the single premium life space. There is one of the largest generational transfers of wealth going on in our country, and is going to continue to be the case for decades to come. And so identifying ideas, especially for the middle market, that are straightforward, that can show them how to generate better leverage, yield, and get funds into a more tax advantaged position is critically important. And it's, again, it also helps bridge that gap to the next generation as well. So with that, Doug, I appreciate you being on the call with us today. For those of you that attended, we appreciate it as well. We'll have the sales directors reach out to you as well. We've got some additional information that we can get out in the product, and I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of the day. Thanks.